goalie and the guardian other than for performance. But remember we had way back we had the originally the stuck loop, and then it's like I don't know how to do this. I'm going to go and look. The goalie that I've got here is reliably telling me that it doesn't know.
That seems to be a wonderful feature in the world of LLMs. I don't know is a valuable response.
Yeah, and I've been kicking the arse out of it, and it's never bullshitted me when I've crossed the boundary of one topic to another.
I think that what it's fighting against is the fact that it knows everything, and so of course it sort of knows. Whereas if you gave it the list of buckets, it's like it's not on the list. Like not on the list is easier than I've never heard of that before, because that would be a lie. It has heard of it. It's heard of everything.
Yeah, exactly. But by defining buckets and saying you can call these functions inside these buckets.
Yeah.
If there isn't a bucket that you can identify that will resolve this request, it's a new bucket, and then you drop into a new process to create a bucket, and then you create a bucket in the same mode as the previous buckets. That's essentially it's saying, well, I don't know.
Well, no, and then by including the list of buckets, you also have given it the template of how to make a good bucket for things it doesn't know about.
Oh yeah.
That's cool.
I'll switch back here. It's where's my here it is. Yeah. Where's my keyboard? Oh no, I cleared it, didn't I?
Yeah. Okay. I also want to cover a couple of other administrative things or format related things. I'm struggling with. I don't have a way to insert Hal's response back to the goalie. So what I'm proposing to you is, I propose a format like user tab, and then I'll say Hal.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, and so each cycle of the goalie will be like, I'm gonna either give you just that because Hal hasn't spoken yet. I'm going to give you just that, and then you're going to tell me the goals, or I'm going to give you that plus this, and then you're going to tell me the goal.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Do you think that will work? Because all I've done is I've broken out I've tokenized or used a variable name for the user and the computer.
Right. So at the moment, I can't test that because I'm only dealing in goalie land.
Well, because I can't get no, but you can test it because this is what the prompt will look like. So you can test it by making the prompt have this format.
Yes, but the more I want to go on a holiday.
Yeah.
And that's going to goalie. Goalie's doing stuff and actions and that sort of thing.
I know this is a manual step, but you could pass that off to ChatGPT or to Hal, one of the bots named Hal, and then just paste in the response is something you could do, or you could just wait until I finished it. But
I could work around that. Yeah.
All I'm getting at is I wanna check with you that I'm not gonna by tokenizing like this, it could have an effect on the quality of your output, because before you were just being given that directly, and that's what all your testing has been using. But now I'm asking for a format change where everything will at least be that.
Okay. Can I just check it, because I've been I don't know. I've got I don't know if we're in sync yet. That's because I'm probably behind you on this one, but this is what I've been using in order to deal with the response. Briefly went through this.
Yeah. So you would be saying, fuck. That's quite different, eh?
I can change this. It's dead easy to change.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to change from this side.
So you'd need a couple of examples that also included Hal's output as well. So you'd be like user, you'd have just pure user, and you'd have user plus Hal.
Okay, that would be quite interesting to try actually, because I could pistol whip it, saying that you start off as Hal, and you try and give a response. If it looks like something the goalie should do, then become the goalie.
Oh no.
No?
Actually, I'll soften that no to a maybe. So what you're saying is that each time the prompt comes in, you wanna... Fuck, hang on.
Yeah, I'll tell it that it's got two personas.
Hang on, so
and
it comes in, basically, you would be putting a routing step inside of Hal. So Dave speaks, Hal gets it. Hal's first job is to be like, should I call the goalie?
Right, exactly. And
if Hal calls the goalie, then it moves out.
Yeah, it switches persona. So I'll do something in the system prompt, a bit like you are Hal and you are goalie.
But then
here's the rules.
Hal
switching.
Okay. Yes, that would be ideal, but then you make it hard to test Hal in isolation because you've always got that. Because your goalie prompt was getting big. Are you saying that you think you can just simply detect whether it's on topic?
I have no fucking idea, but
because if it was a very simple, like a one-liner, like if you think this topic is different, then you need to...
It sounds interesting. Yeah, I mean the prompt isn't actually that big either.
Well, even regardless of what the size is, it feels like you want the goalie to have a much more thorough go at bucketizing, but Hal only needs to know that it's in the wrong bucket. It doesn't need to know the right bucket. Finding the right bucket requires a lot. Realizing you're in the wrong bucket, that's not that hard. You're like, I
think that'd be a really interesting thing to try. So
it would make the flow of the system much cleaner, like remarkably cleaner, because otherwise you got to call the goalie every time, and it's a bit of a drag, actually, if I'm honest.
Well, let me run past how I would approach that. I would start one system prompt, and I would say that. Sorry.
You go.
Sorry. I'll start with one system prompt that would say you have two personas. You are either in the mode of Hal or you're in the mode of goalie.
I think that's wrong. I think what you should do is you say that your first job is to think about whether you're in the right goal, and if not, you need to call this function, and it's just the goalie function. It's not telling it to be the goalie; it's telling it to call the goalie.
Okay. Yeah, I can do that. But
trying to get it to have two personas, like that's not something I've ever seen used around the place, and it goes against the notion of scoping.
I might do that over
Team business. So what that approach gives us as a side effect benefit is it's an algorithm that has a strong affinity to stay on the current goal, which is a property that we want. The strongest affinity should be to stay on the current goal, not switch it. Whereas the goalie the goalie's all about switching, and so requires.
There's a problem here. So, say a new session, Dave comes up, talks to Hal. Dave hasn't said anything yet about the goal, so the very first thing that Dave says has to go to goalie.
What's wrong with that? Well, that's easy. We can prime the first goal as though it has been called, which is introductions.
Yeah.
So you're already in the goal. You're in the goal of a discovery, and then as soon as Dave says anything that means something, the goalie kicks in.
Okay, that works. I guess I'm thinking at the moment, because I'm still working within one bot. How to do this now? I could open up 2 tabs and get them to talk backwards and forwards.
No, I think you don't. I think you don't need that so much now. Because you would test, you'd test Hal to make sure that Hal could detect when it was in the wrong bucket, and then all its other functions.
So the prompt on Hal then would be
that means that the bucket detector would only really see the goalie would actually get called a lot less, and so it would be called with large chunks of conversation that it had missed out on, as opposed to every time.
Yeah. I'm going to have to think about this one. Okay, here's a start for 10. So how I would write that is Hal knows about one bucket, which is how to talk to Dave. Right out of the box.
The intro bucket.
As soon as Dave asks Hal for something outside of that, in the same way as I've got create bucket, I can have Hal call a function saying, goalie, what do I do about this?
Right.
And the goalie can say, well, actually, you've got 4 buckets to retrieve. Is it one of these? And, I would say what the context is, decide whether it's one of these 4, and then ultimately either create a new bucket or go out to the vector space to find another bucket, and then come back and load Hal up with one other bucket. Or no, actually, Hal should only ever have one bucket, shouldn't he?
Hal's only got one bucket.
He can only have one bucket, so he has the bootstrap bucket, and then if Hal is asked to do anything else, he refers out, and then says, forget everything else. Now's your context. This is what you're talking about. If Dave asks something outside of this, ask me again, and I'll find you another bucket. I don't know how to do that with one bot. I think I would need to do it with cut and paste. But
maybe you can't. Maybe you can't. That sort of fits the programming model I've been working through here pretty well.
Okay.
And
so
the only difference is going to be that the goalie's always going to get called with this type of thing, and because the goalie might be several messages until the goalie gets called. It's going to get called with, it could get called with multiple lines at a time that would add to the goalie conversation. So the goalie's life would be made of sort of, these types of things, and then a break, and then more things, and then a break. That's how the goalie will have to work?
Sort of, but there's another... okay, I'm thinking on the fly here, but what we want Hal to do is just understand what he doesn't know, which I've got the goalie doing now. So it's like I've got the intro bucket, and Dave's asked something else.
Yep.
Now, all the goalie needs to know is the last thing Dave said. Doesn't need any big session behind it.
Why do you think that?
Well, I'll give you an example.
There could be clues. There could be clues in this chat session that the goalie might be able to determine.
Yeah, but I think that's more pollution than anything else.
The goalie is global. The goalie sees all conversations.
Yeah, I think I disagree, but only with about 20% probability. The point being, how was
That's not even half.
Yeah, coin toss would beat me right now. How I think in this situation, so how comes in with the bootstrap bucket, which is talk to Dave. As soon as Dave asks for something that is anything else other than real general bullshit stuff, then Hal needs to call the goalie. So Hal needs to understand what it is to trigger a request to the goalie.
Right.
That's all he needs to do. Now, when a goal comes back, then that's Hal's new goal. Hal still has all this session, so now Hal only considers
is the goalie's responsibility then expanding to be a bit like a help finder, because Hal's version of I don't know means call the goalie.
Right, exactly. And what happens, what the goalie does in order to come back with stuff, Hal doesn't care.
Hal doesn't know or care, right?
Yeah, I'm just talking to him, and Dave now wants to go on a holiday. Shit, don't know anything about holidays.
Okay, so this has got some good properties. The programming tactic I'm starting to sniff at is the concept of implicit. What's the word for it? It's just a second. It is giving extra priority to something through implication, like implying by telling it to do some other thing, you're implying that it's not doing these other things, or you're implying it's like you're not telling it, but it can't do the thing you just told it to do and not also be doing the thing you wanted it to do as a side effect if you target it right. That seems the strongest form of keeping it on track is this implicit goal setting by way of, like, it has to do something. It has to do something. And so by what you choose for it to do, you are implying that it's also not doing a bunch of other things, or and it's almost like it's like a sleight of hand, like you're sort of doing this sneaky thing where it's like walking sideways, but if all you can do is walk sideways, you're turning to the right and then stepping sideways to go forwards. It's like a stronger form of, it's better than pistol whipping, it's better than re-upping the parameters. It's like it's a weird way of guiding it. It's like how you treat children, where you can't tell them no, but you can distract them with something else, which is a more effective way of programming the child.
There's something here, isn't there? I think you're right. Because I'm struggling a bit thinking about the buckets, because it's not a stack.
No.
It's not even a heap.
No, and so if you just simply made Hal able to very clearly know when it's lost or when it's stuck or when it doesn't know.
Yeah.
It may be given the list of competencies itself, even.
Yeah.
But what I was trying to get at was that if hell is constrained to a narrow set of things that the goal has set, so it's only got this narrow list of functions in this narrow area of artifact, that means that so long as it has a good, very strong performance in the area of saying I don't know, that's all it needs. Because if it's already constrained by how the goalie has laid out the environment for it anyway, and it can always safely detect when it doesn't know within that environment, and then calls the goalie. That's a very, very strong way of saying that's better than asking it to try be the goalie a little bit.
I agree. I
know that was very sloppy. I'm sorry, but
I think I know how to do that.
Yeah. So if you can.
There's previously said Hal only knows about how to talk to Dave.
Right.
I think that's wrong. Hal knows two things. Hal knows how to talk to Dave.
Correct.
In the general sense, but
Correct.
has one bucket at any one time.
Correct.
And the conversation, how to talk to Dave, is strongly coupled with I don't know.
Correct.
So
I don't know is almost the preferred thing. And
yeah. So you've got one bucket of specialty.
Yep.
And you've got your generalization of talking to Dave.
Yep.
And then it's like, now we can work out how to swap that one bucket out, because that's the context switch, isn't it?
And that is a much better, because you've multi-staged. You've gone, I don't know, help. It goes out to the goalie. The goalie kicks in, and then reloads a new environment for Hal. It means that Hal doesn't have all this other stuff floating around in the context window that it has to deal with. It only has to be an expert in this thing, or it doesn't know, and that's you just guaranteed to get much better evaluations out of that than out of any of these other methods that we've tried. Like that is the purest you can make the question. Here's the tools. They're very narrow.
Now
can you do it or not?
There's one thing I'd add to that is context switch in and out. So so Dave just wants a hot holiday. How goes? I have no idea how to do that. Grabs in a bucket. Okay, I know how to do this. We're now talking about this.
Yep.
Then Dave says, I want to buy a dog.
Yep.
Like, I don't know how to do that. I'm going to switch out the hot holiday, and I'm now going to be talking about dogs.
Yep.
Further down, Dave says, can you make it in Sicily? And so Hal needs to remember the whole context, Hal needs to remember the fact that it's switched in and out buckets, and the context around the bucket switch.
Oh, okay. So here's another way to do that. So as you know, the system prompt carries a lot of weight.
Yeah.
Every time I make a new call, I can add an extra system prompt that gets inserted in the message stream. So you've got the original system prompt, and then each time I have the opportunity to insert additional system prompts. Now, I don't know the weighting between the first one and the second one and what to do if they conflict and all that, but what I can do is I can, for example, have Hal receiving the full message stream, and then where the break lines are, I insert a system message and say, your context has been switched to this speciality. Right?
Yeah.
And so now, because now
context switch out is easy. Back to something you've been talking about previously.
Right, because if you go, I want a hot holiday, I want to buy a dog, and then you go make it in Sicily, what Hal should say is, hey, did you mean in the you want a holiday in Sicily, or you want to buy the dog in Sicily? And it would only know that if it could see the previous things. The goalie can't know that. The goalie can't know that.
No, the goalie's just there to answer Dave's, Hal's request.
What I would expect from that is that Hal would see the context switches here and would know that it almost needs to know more about I don't know. It needs to be able to say what it doesn't know. Like, it can't say I don't know about Sicily. It needs to say I don't know about it needs to say
talk about, Dave? Yeah.
It needs
clarification.
It needs to get clarity before it calls the goalie.
Oh God, that's an interesting one. It's an
interesting one, but I don't think it's impossible, and it feels like it will, because the problem with doing this context switch is that the user didn't switch anything. In the user's brain, it's looking at this string of messages that make perfect sense to the human, because that's how humans are. And then it's like, no, mate, I was just talking about, this other thing.
And also, Dave is ambiguous, and so maybe they actually mean I want to go to Sicily to buy a dog.
You might have, right? You don't actually know, but Hal knows that he doesn't know, but he knows that Hal must call the goalie with a reason. Like, I don't know about this in the context of this, and if Hal needs to also know about how to get clarifying questions out of Dave. That is the same property that it needs to apply when it's trying to do operations within the CRM, within the customers directory, within the routing directory, within any of those things. Hal needs to know how to do clarifying questions. So getting clarifying questions about how much or what Hal doesn't know about is also valid.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's
a gnarly one, huh?
Neat point. Yeah, that's it might be a couple of days to get back on that one.
That's right. I'm heavily delayed with getting this threading hooked up, and I think what's happened is that the threading cutting was unnatural to do in programming too, and so this model fits better how I built the system already, because Dave and Hal are just having one stream, and then the goalie is just this extra function that the only thing that it results in is a new system message and a new goal being sent in to Hal.
How good's what's that scene in Matrix when I can do kung fu? Like, Hal gets downloaded with a whole bunch of stuff.
That's right. Hal gets loaded up, and so what happens? What has to change though is that Hal needs to be prompted. When you talk to Hal, you're going to have to go, well, here's Dave's prompt, and then you're going to have to go goal, and then you're going to have to go prompt. Right, because...
So what? You're saying Dave needs to know this path?
No. Under the hood, I can insert this, but the goal needs to be inserted in the prompt somehow, because you know what I mean?
Fuck knows how to do that. That's an interesting one. Yeah, I do know what you mean.
I think it gets set actually in the system prompt. where I say goal blah 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 blah, and then I say functions blah 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 blah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I think what you do know though is you know that the hard problems in the prompting that I'm getting at. So if I'll keep working on trying to make the model work like this programmatically, and then if you work on the bits that are hard to prompt, hopefully I can catch you before you solve your problems.
Yeah, all right. Okay, cool. So, right, I'm going to stop on the goalie because I think I was actually going to ask your opinion about what to do next because the goalie and guardian merged kind of when I was doing it, and the ruler seems trivial.
I feel like what I can smell coming is that the goalie and the guardian are the same, and then the stuck loop is also in there too, because that's actually the stuck loop is what happens when you're outside of the guardian's buckets.
Yeah.
So it's really all the same thing.
We effectively have got a stuck being produced, just saying, I don't have a bucket for this. I'm going to create a bucket.
I like that because it's quite modular. We can launch with just simply a simple webhook that raises a GitHub issue that says, hey, the goalie couldn't figure out what to do, and here's the context around it.
Right.
You know, and then we just pick that up.
And I'm saying the delineation mark is really tight. I've been trying to get it to pollute itself from session and go off piece and so on, but as soon as it doesn't know something that's not been explicitly said is in a bucket, it just always.
That's beautiful.
Last 3-4 hours, always comes back saying
that is a beautiful insight. So it turns out that all the times when it has gone off piste, it's really because it doesn't have anywhere else to go, and I don't know is not in its
similar. Yeah, it seems that all it needed to know was what was on piste.
Yeah, and that seems, when I think about it, that's a trivial task. If you're given this list, you know, even probably GPT 3.5 could pull that one off, right?
Yeah.
Like, here's a list of things. Does this match it?
Yeah. If it's not in that list, you don't know about it.
Yeah, that's but it's not even. You're almost. This is gonna sound pretty pansy-like, but it's almost like you're allowing the LLM to save face, because it's not saying I don't know. It's calling the goalie. That's different to saying I don't know. It's saying you're gonna know if you call this function, so call this function.
Yeah, you're right. That is could sound really pansy. Yeah.
But it's not. But does that make it wrong?
You're also right, actually.
You're right.
I think you're actually right. There's a definite finesse to talking to.
It does not. It appears not capable of saying I don't know. It's against its nature. It is a knowledge machine, and if you're trying to make it say I don't know, it just probably all its circuits are triggering, being like, there's so many things you could say that might have a better probability right now than I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you what, today I've not been put on the naughty step once, and it's going blisteringly fast still.
Yeah, I think they've solved their issues, eh?
Yeah. Right. Okay. So I'm going to pause. Well, commit what we've got in terms of goalie, and I'm going to write HAL in that task switching mode that we've just gone through. There's a lot there I don't know how to do, but we'll find out. It might surprise us.
Right, now here's
two things.
Here's something that
first thing was your goal path, and the second thing was prediction of your next available actions.
Yeah, I know.
That is extremely interesting.
When was this? Was this last night?
This was 2 days ago. But the thing I want to show you is this. Whoopsie daisy.
Oh, you mentioned it in the the transcriber.
That is extremely interesting.
So if I take this, just give me a second. I promise things get better.
Yeah, cool. A bit of ham brew. Ham brew.
So, I felt like it made a good summary of the things, the things that were...
Oh shit, is this generated from a video?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, that put your drink down, didn't it?
Yeah, how?
So I just simply took the transcription that had run on YouTube and prompted GPT to, just is basically just a summarization prompt, and then it gave a pretty accurate roll-up.
Can you take me through that process? This is GPT, this is not Gemini.
That's right, I haven't used Gemini yet, I don't intend to.
Actually, Gemini's not available yet. It's the 13th. It's coming in.
I think I deleted it.
Yeah.
My bad. Anyway, it was a pretty rudimentary prompt. You would make a better prompt, for sure.
So what was it? Just provide it with a URL?
Just a dump of the transcription text. So.
Oh, I see. All right. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Right. So that's pretty. It's pretty rudimentary.
That makes more sense. Yeah, that makes more sense.
But the point is that how much more useful the video becomes, because now you can index this instead of just indexing the transcription.
Yes.
And
that summary is really, so long as it's a high fidelity summary, and I've found that sometimes you need to ask it twice, sometimes 3 times, and just saying.
Yeah, so I can think of a simple algorithm would be to do the give me more bit, but then also check each goal, like be like, was this discussed in the transcription? Is this accurate? Blah blah blah.
Right.
So you can probably burn like $1 worth of credits just by looping it over, and then you're gonna get to the plateau of the log curve pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
And I think it would have particular weight if it was searching through existing elements. So like if it was keeping a running record of new ideas as a sort of like, these are the organizations.